Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Storm Sage coming to you with the 12.9 league patch notes. Now, if you looked at my last video, we had gone into the durability 12.10 patch information. I'm sorry if I look a little sweaty, just came back from the gym, getting that sweat and that work in. But they released this right after I got off the work, so I'm gonna jump into these 12.9 patch notes, and we're gonna kind of consolidate this into my also champion kind of picks that I'm going to do for the climb. So let's go ahead and see what Rito or Riot is going to do. New challenges approach. It's time for patch 12.9, and with it, the launch of our brand new challenges system. Complete them to prove that you are really the best of the best. Make sure to brace yourselves for more axes and rocks, because the mid-scope updates for Olaf and Talia, which I'm really interested in, go live this patch. Other challenges we'll be tackling in this edition of patch notes include zombies running into towers, capitalist Kimbaran monopolies, foxes dashing around the rift, Ari, a not so jolly mustachioed man, and cowboys rootin' tootin' and by God shooting in my rain games. Make sure to follow the mid-season invitational in Busan, where group stage will be kicking off on May 10th. We'll also be releasing the EDG skin line in the celebration of the 2021 World Championship win. Looking for more challenges? Well, hit the conversions where dragon eggs are shaking things up right before dragon lands. Read about it in the TFT patch notes here. So the TFT patch notes have also released, so check that out if you're interested. If you guys are interested in me rocking a TFT channel or TFT grind alongside of my League of Legends grind, let me know. I'll be glad to put those videos up. Patch highlights. So we have nerfs to Ari, Master Yi, Nidalee, Renata, Grace, Rengar, and Sion. And then buffs to Braum, Hecarim, Renekton, Thresh, and Varus. One of my favorite characters is Varus. These buffs, from what I hear, aren't the greatest. They don't do too much, so I don't think he's going to come in the meta. But systems, Hullbreaker, and adjustments. The big adjustments are Olaf, Pike, and Talia. The Olaf adjustment, changing up his ultimate. So his ultimate is going to be a little bit his play style is going to be completely different. I think he's going to be a menace in the top lane. Pike, they're changing Pike to be more of a support and less of a mid laner. They're really making these changes to really take Pike mid out of the system. So we'll go over those. And then Talia, solo lane Talia mid lane. I am interested in seeing this because that's one of my favorites. I love playing Talia. And one of the biggest things I want to see, and we'll see if it happens, is warped ground damage. I want to see what they do with the single rock throw warped damage. If they make it something that does more damage, like poke damage, than a regular, we'll see what they do. And then the skins, just to let y'all know, the EDG skins are going to come out. EDG Zoe, Graves, Viego, Yumi, Aphelios, and the High Noon skins, which look amazing, by the way. Challenges. Track your overall progress within League across a ton of categories. Build your legacy through over 300 unique challenges that celebrate the champs you've made, modes you've conquered, plays you've made, stuff you've collected, and more. Show off the challenges you're most proud of with titles and tokens. You can see how you measure up in your region with regional leaderboards. Now you can finally hit challenger in something. No matter how you play, there's a challenge for you. Learn more about how challenges work in our full rundown. So we'll kind of see what challenges do. This is their new flavor of the month system, or should I say flavor of the year system they try to implement. They haven't really been too successful prior to, but we'll see we'll give challenges a chance. Champions, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Olaf, mid-scope update, all abilities adjusted. Despite Olaf's popularity in Pro, he's been one of the least main champions in League for a while now. The flexibility of Ragnarok as an engage or escape and his fast clear series make him the ultimate example of a champ that walks a fine line between OP and Pro and meh in all other levels of play. With this mid-scope update, we're aiming to shift some of his power away from his clear speed and into tools that will help players feel stronger and more control of Olaf's survivability as he rides the edge of disaster at low health. These changes should not only help better define Olaf's identity as a berserker, but also allow him to take a new place as a viable top laner. Boom. So basically, these stats all of these are going to make him better at what? 1v1 dueling. So this is going to be, they want him a viable top laner, meaning that top lane synergy, fights, skirmishes, they're going to add all of that to his playstyle. So let's see what they do. AD growth is higher, so he's going to benefit more off of attack damage. His attack damage at level 18 is a lot higher. His health per growth adds 5. That's even higher. And his mana growth is higher as well. And his passive Berserker Rage, maximum attack speed granted 40 to 100%, levels 1 through 18. So it is at the, I think it was 90%. Yeah, I think it's 90% at higher ranks. It's buffed lower early, higher late. Fight on. Berserker's Rage now provides 10 to 30% lifesteal level based on Olaf's missing health. Updated Mad Math, 30% health. Okay, so basically they're adding a couple of things from some of his other abilities into his passive. So his passive is giving you now what I think the W gave you before. It's now just built into his passive. Okay, so this is really making Olaf one of the older champions in League, bringing him into the new age, giving him more of that passive strength and adding more utility and things into his kit for outplay and for just overall gameplay. Undertow. Your cooldown has been extended 2 seconds up to 7 to 9. Damage also has been nerfed a little bit early game, but the same late. Minimum range has been increased. Whoa, okay. So that means that it's going to go 425 units minimum range. That means it's all going to be able to be thrown longer. Interesting. Mana cost 60 at all ranks. Starts lower, so be able to spam more early game without mana assistance, and then 60 at the later rank. So that's a buff all around, except for early game damage. But because you're able to use it with less mana, it kind of evens itself out. New Beatdown City Population U. Q. Undertow now shreds stacking armor based on how many points you put into it. Armor for 4 seconds upon hitting an enemy champion. Note, subsequent axes will refresh the debuff duration. So you can't stack the debuff, but you can refresh it. Pro Axe Juggler. Picking up axes now fully refunds Q Undertow's cooldown, but axes can only be thrown a maximum of once every 3 seconds. The 3-second limit scales with ability haste. Wow. So basically, as the game goes on, he will continue to be able to throw his axes. Even before, depending on the game, it was really late game, it would be a certain percentage that is refunded when Olaf picks up that Q, and it was based off of the cooldown and your ability haste. Now it's pretty much automatic within 3 seconds, and you can limit or reduce the 3 seconds based on ability haste. So Q's always going to be up and ready to go as long as you pick it up. Coming through, included a quality of life buff to Olaf's Q Undertow, so that it now grants ghosting more consistently to jungle monsters who hits or are near him when Q is cast. Okay. W, let's see what they did with W, because I think they've taken some of the W and R cooldown things and put them in his passive. Update name change. Tough It Out is the name of it now, not Vicious Strikes. Cooldown 16, but then will be reduced to 10 seconds at later ranks. Attack speed now scaling from 40, so just nerf all around, every rank. And then ability duration is only 4 seconds. New. W now resets Olaf's basic attack timer, so it is a attack reset, so you want to auto attack then W. On activation, Olaf now gains a 10, 45, 80, 115, 115 plus 25% missing health, capped at 30% of his current health shield. Now, the reason why this is big, is because he now synergizes incredibly well with the new mana item. Not the one where you get shields. You get, when you build a shield, you get certain damages, etc. He just scales incredibly well with that item. Gives him early mana available to sling his, get your mind out of the gutter, sling his axe everywhere. So that's going to be an item, definitely a main item for him. It no longer grants lifesteal when you hit the W. No longer amplifies Olaf's healing based on missing health. Remember, a lot of that was moved into the passive. So it's just automatic. His passive is just him. It just is what it is. It's crazy. He just gets passive lifesteal now. All right, and then the R, bonus attack damage, lower percentage. Everything's lower. Oh, no. Later base, looks like later. Okay, basically the mid rank, the second rank in R, everything kind of evens out, and then late game it's buffed by 10 base, and then 5 base, I'm sorry, from what it was before, plus 25% AD. The duration is only 3 seconds right now. Passive resist it is pretty much evened or lower earlier in the game. Removed, I am untethered. Our Ragnarok's passive bonus resistances are no longer lost for the duration of the ability. So basically what happened before is that R gave Olaf passive resistances. When he hit R, it then basically took the resistances off, and then he would get bonus attack damage, etc. while he was in that mode. But he would lose the resistances. Now R, when you hit it, your R gives you passive resistances, and you keep the passive resistances regardless of whether you're in R or not, whether you hit the ability or not. So automatically, once you get level 6, guess what? Olaf gets tanky. That's right. So he'll be getting tankier, get a little bit more resistances, and it will scale a little lower early since you're never losing them, and will be the same in game. My rage knows no bounds. Hitting a champion with a basic attack or E, reckless swing, his bread and butter ability, we all love that ability, extends the duration of Ragnarok to 2.5 seconds. Olaf can refresh Ragnarok indefinitely. So basically what this means is that if you can stick onto your enemy, whoever you're fighting, if you can stick onto them with your Qs, with your E's, you are able to, guess what? Continue to use R throughout the whole entire team fight. If you lose it, you can stack it. It does have 3 seconds does look like something that, if people run away or are able to run away, it could really hamper his ability to, carry it throughout a team fight, but we'll see how that works out. Interested to see. Right, I might add Olaf. I used to play Olaf in the top lane way back into time, so we'll see. All right, this is what I'm most important. The most important for me, because I love me some Talia. Talia, mid-scope update, all abilities adjusted. Get ready to rock and roam, because the one and only Stoneweaver is ready to rumble the ground. Talia has been struggling to find footing on the Rift, not only in mid, but in the jungle as well. Not to mention the mechanical complexity and punishing nature of her kit. So Talia is what I would call a complete combination champion, meaning that you have to hit everything perfectly in order to make it work. But when it works, it works. It's really strong. She really has great burst damage, and she can really hamper a lot of champions because of her rocks. But people just ignore them or wait for them to go away, and then they attack. It's let's see what they do. For Talia's update, we really wanted to focus on making her more fun, especially for players who've been playing her frequently, reviving her presence in mid, and increasing the amount of forgiveness in her kit. We're hoping these changes shake things up and give her a clean slate to start anew. Excited for this. Let's see what they do. Base stats. Okay, her base health has gone down. Her base health regen has gone down. Her health regen growth has gone down a little bit. Base mana has gone up, so more mana to play around with. Early game, base mana regen has gone down. Base regen growth, base armor has gone down. Move speed has gone down slightly. What does this mean when those base stats are changing? These were, based on what I'm showing, these are jungle stats that they were. These were jungle Taliyah stats. Everything they're changing, everything they're doing is to heighten her ability to play mid. Okay. I think that's what a lot of this shows to me, especially the lower mana regen, because guess what? You're going to be buying, not Tombstone. I want to say Tombstone, but the page ability item that gives you mana growth. You're going to be getting that early game, and that's going to be all you need. So 9.34 mana regen was to keep you topped up in the jungle where there's less of that ability. All you have is blue buff, right? Early game. Passive, rock surfing. Out of combat bonus move speed is, let's see here, higher at higher ranks. Okay. And it changes 1, 9, 12, 15. Passive fallout time when not near terrain, 2.5 seconds. This is big. So this is a big change, because one of the biggest issues with Taliyah's passive is that it is useless in mid lane. It is useless in mid lane, okay? It's useless in mid lane, and it's useless to for what it's really meant for. It's meant to traverse and get back to lane quicker. It's meant to get to ganks quicker. She's like a really good ganking mid laner, roaming mid laner, and you really have to stay fully connected to the wall. And as soon as you get off it, she would jump off the rock and then jump back onto the rock. This means that you're going to be able to connect to all surfaces on the rift and move at that higher move speed. So that's amazing. Great change, Riot. I like this one. Q, threaded volley. Mana cost, more mana on the Q. Okay. Cooldown, a little less on the Q to 2.5 seconds late game. That's nice. This Q was already pretty quick, active in game. You just spam that over and over again. 1 rock damage. It does scale higher with percentage AP, which is again more mid lane centric. So they're taking away the base damage and adding more scaling. Damage reduction from subsequent stone shards, 60%. So that means that it's going to be a little higher reduction from more of the stones you hit. 5 rock damage. Okay, this is crazy. Scales a little lower, and everything scales a little lower. So her overall Q, the one where you hit all 5 of your rocks, is going down, but when you hit someone with the 1 rock damage, it's higher based on your AP. So you want to stack AP. Damage reduction from subsequent stone shards against monsters. Okay, 60%. New, super effective. Each stone shard now deals an additional 30 plus 10% AP damage against monsters. Okay. Scattered stones, so they're still giving her some strength in the jungle. Scattered stones. Stone shards now deal damage in a 175 radius area effect. Okay. So AoE, approximately 1.6 Timos. Rock solid. Q, threaded volley, will now continue to cast while Talia is in stasis. Nice. Okay. So that means that if she is, basically if she uses Zanya's, her Q will still go off. It won't stop. You can Q someone, Zanya's, the Q will continue to hit them, and then you can come out of Zanya's. Not just the rock. Casting Q, threaded volley on worked ground, so this is big, now consumes the worked ground. This is amazing for mid lane Talia to fire a single boulder that deals double damage. Wow, 100% AP scaling on that. That's amazing. And slows all targets hit in a 225 AoE radius by 50% for 2 seconds late game. That is bonkers. And that 30% for 2 seconds is crazy early game. So that's how you set up ganks for her mid lane, or that's how you're going to be able to set up your W's and E's. So let me give you basically what they're setting is that when you use your Q, you create a warp ground on the bottom. You're going to set it up. And then if you can hit the enemy laner with a warped ground Q now, it will then slow them for 30%, 2 seconds to set up your W and E combos. So that's going to be what you're going to work on, is hitting that Q, that max range Q, work ground Q. It consumes it, slows them, W and E time. Okay. Mana cost on work ground is now a little bit more. So before it was free, you had free shots. It costs a little mana to shoot it out. Now 20, which is not terrible, but it means that you need to build some mana on her. Minimum cooldown on work ground, 0.75 seconds. Okay. Work ground duration, 30 seconds. So it'll stay on the ground longer now. Work ground radius, larger. Okay. Level grounds. The size of work ground on Howling Abyss now matches Summoner's Rift. Nice. Skipping Stones Q, threaded volley cast on work ground now has new VFX, SFX animations, and icon. Cool. Seismic Shove. Let's see what they do with the W. Mana cost down to 0. What? 0 at final rank. Cost no mana to use W on the final rank. That's crazy to me. Cooldown is also being reduced. Knock up radius. They're making the conal shape of W larger 25 doesn't seem like a lot. That's crazy. That's a lot, especially if you're used to Talia and been working with that 200 this whole time. 225 is going to feel like a breeze in the park. Time delay before knockup 0.8, and it comes up just a smidge faster. Okay, we gotta run some Talia tomorrow or Thursday. We gotta run some Talia mid. Okay, this is crazy. Soft like sand. So okay, but W no longer does damage. Okay, so W is no longer W is purely a knockup move. Okay, so that's what they did with it. Okay, that's why it's 0 mana here, is because it doesn't do any damage. It just literally knocks people up into your E, or just in general knock them whatever direction you want to take them. Okay. E, let's see what they did with the E. Unraveled Earth. Cooldown is later at later ranks. Damage on initial cast is higher, so E is going to do more damage on the initial cast. So if they're right in front of you and you cast E, and kind of like a Spider-Man web, it will do more damage overall, and it will scale incredibly high with AP, 20% more than original, and the base has gone up substantially. So you want to E people, just E them, E in their faces. Slow strength is scaling now. AP ratio removed though, but it scales up to 28% now, so a little bit more. Boulder detonation damage is now later, okay, higher at later ranks, but lesser at lower ranks, still at 30% AP, so it just gives her more scaling for in-game. Damage reduction per subsequent boulder hit, 25%, that's included. Maximum boulder detonation damage. Okay, we're not gonna kind of go into all of these, but Tectonic Shifts. Unravel Earth now spawns 6 rows of boulders. Excuse me? Extending outwards from Talia with 4 boulders per row. Previously spawned 4 rows. Wow. So, okay. What does this all mean? So basically what this means is that it's longer, but the conal shape of it is a little bit more fine. So that just means that before it was kind of wide. It was pretty wide, but it didn't go as far. Now it's going farther, but it's going to be less wide. So that's interesting. We're going to see how that looks. A rock in a hard place. Boulders now stun enemies that dash through them for the duration of the dash. Jesus Christ. Okay, so it's basically, wow. It's basically a Cassiopeia W, but it stuns for not that long. So it's a quick stun, but it will stop mobile champions in their tracks. So if you have a Zed and you put your boulders below you when he ults you, will it stun him when he comes out of his shadow? I don't know. That's all stuff we gotta have to look at, but this really does put a nice little thought process on different champions that use movement abilities. The maximum duration is 2 seconds, and monsters are always stunned for the max duration. Okay, and remember, you still can W enemies into your boulders as well to stun them. So that's all new. But if you don't push them into your boulders, boom. They get stunned now. That's crazy. Okay. Weaver's Wall. Let's see what they do with the ultimate. Range is buffed by 500. Late game dash range when jumping off wall 700. She like Michael Jordan leaps off that wall now. That's amazing. Dash speed when jumping off wall is faster too. So when overall when she gets off the wall, she's less vulnerable. Updated skipping rocks. Moving Talia while she is riding the Weaver's Wall now causes Talia to dash to the location click up to the maximum dash range instead of dropping her perpendicular to the wall. So yeah, so that's going to be something that you have to work with. Really gives you the ability to utilize walls, put walls up, and then kind of move into a space or direction that gets you out of harm's way. Surfs Up. Dashing when jumping off the wall is now more forgiving when trying to dash through constraint. Okay. Not so fast, Little Sparrow. Damage from any champions or structures now prevents Talia from casting R. We was wall for 3 seconds. Okay. Pioneers. Okay, cool. Cool. All right, let's look at some of these nerfs. Okay, so my overall thoughts, this Talia rework is amazing. We're gonna see, I'm definitely gonna be playing some Talia mid lane, seeing how it works and seeing what kind of items and stuff should be. And I'm always ready to bring people over into the dojo or to the Sage secret scrolls on some of the tech. So we'll definitely be jumping into what items I think are best on her. Ahri, E cooldown increase, R cooldown increase at all ranks. Ahri's been getting a lot of play time since her update. She's incredibly consistent at making picks and assassinating carries, all while remaining relatively safe and just out of reach. We're lowering the uptime of her CC and dashes to add more thrill to the chase. Charm cooldown 14 seconds. Spirit Rush is a little bit longer. This isn't going to do anything. Yeah, Rita, Ahri's going to be still dominant, so keep playing Ahri. They're going to have to do a little bit more. I think the Spirit Rush changes, giving her like, I think she has like an extra dash. It just makes her way too mobile. Even if she's still going to be a very safe champion to play, no matter what you do, Rito. 2 seconds, it's not gonna do anything. Braum, passive cooldown decreases late. E damage reduction increase. Everyone's favorite Poro Protector has been feeling a little left out in the cold recently. We're hoping to bring a smile back to his glorious mustache and his Poro's face by beefing up his protective power. I like Braum. I think Braum really does work into some of the meta picks, especially Jhin, and he counters Jhin very well. So if you are someone if you're going up against a Jhin, I would suggest a Braum, unless if you have Lucian, then of course play Nami. Nami works so well with Lucian, you got to go with that. But Braum's a good counter to Jhin, and Jin's getting buffs, and he's pretty strong at this time. The passive concussive blows per target cooldown. Late game, late game he's a little stronger, and E unbreakable. The damage reduction, it's buffed by 15% late game. Ooh, it's buffed heavy. Oh, it's just buffed. His E is just buffed completely throughout the whole entire game. These are pretty crazy buffs on E. So yeah, I think if you're up against a certain skill shot, Jhin, like when Jhin does his ultimate and he's shooting his shots, his 4 shots, the E can break all, like pretty much negate all damage. So yeah, I think he's going to come back a little bit, but Enchanter supports are really in play, so we'll see. Hecarim, Q 80 scaling increase, W cooldown decrease. Hecarim is heckin' weak after the last set of nerfs targeted as his tank build. We're helping him get his moves back in the game while being careful to avoid reintroducing his one-shot E build by buffing his item scaling and increasing the horsepower behind his key survivability skill to more evenly distribute his power across his kit. These should help Hecarim from a more stable place in today's meta without turning him into a pseudo assassin racehorse. Q Rampage, physical damage, okay, 5% on the bonus AD, and everything else looks to be the same. So they're just giving him basically his like I said, his itemization, giving that a little bit of a buff here, so he does a little bit more damage with his Q with items. And W Spirit of the Dread, his cooldown is going to be more accessible early with that 14-second cooldown, which is nice. So yeah, Hecarim was just destroying Solar Q for a while there in the jungle. Top tier pick for multiple patches, and they didn't touch him. Finally they do, and now they're gonna add some more power to him, so you might see Hecarim coming out. Master Yi, our bonus attack speed reduced. The Wuju Blazeman has gotten a little too fast at killing his enemies, especially in late game. We're reducing his DPS scaling to slow him down and give his foes a chance to keep up. Yeah, if you get a ridiculous, if you get a Master Yi, he gets like just a little bit ahead, he can kill you regardless. It's hard because the way to beat Master Yi is grouping and having CC, and if you don't have any CC, it makes it really tough. And there's very small amount, I know people always say this, but there's very small amount of counterplay to Master Yi. It just really isn't. On 1v1 level, you have to be a certain champion in order to counter him. There is no, if you're an AD carry, support, even a mid laner, and Master Yi runs at you, there's literally minimal counterplay depending on who you are as a champion. And so this just gives you a little bit more ability to, I don't know, Zanya's and survive, or I don't know, run away. So we'll see. But Master Yi is always gonna, once he gets going, it's always gonna be tough to get away from him. Nidalee, base health reduced. Nidalee's been catching prey left and right with her recently increased spell output, especially at higher levels of play. We're breaking down her early dueling power so she doesn't get such an easy Nidalee. Oh my god, some of these are terrible. Base stats, base health 570 to 540. That's doing diddly squat, right? They're still going to be fighting people. And I mean, that more champions may win duels now, but I mean, 30 health, I don't think that's going to do too much. Pike, passive gray health conversion increase, Q mana cost increased, mana refund increased, now refunds mana upon hitting an enemy champion, R cooldown decreased, your cut opportunity is reduced. Pike's been a little bone skewed toward mid ever since his changes long ago in Season 9, so we're reverting him to bring the Blood War Ripper back to bot lane. We're also adjusting some other parts of his kit to further tune him toward the unconventional support he is, kills and bags secured. Passive, Gift of the Drowned Ones. Damage converted to gray health when near 2 or more enemies. 2 or more enemies. Right. So basically they're saying, hey, if he's not in bot lane, this is not going to do as much, right? This is not going to be a factor. It's passive. You're basically lowering the amount of his main gray health ability and survivability. Bone Skewer. Bone Skewer now refunds mana upon hitting an enemy champion. So that doesn't matter mid or bot, but it does have a higher mana refund once you hit it. R, Death from Below. Lower cooldown. Pike no longer receives your cut gold upon successfully executing enemy champions with his R. This is completely destroying mid lane Pike. So I mean, people may still play it, but you definitely want to play Pike bot lane. This is there's no reason not to. Renata Glass, base armor decrease, passive damage decreased. Renata Glass is on her way to monopolizing bot lane at all levels of play, and business is really starting to boom in Elite. She's been getting a bit too much value prop out of her passive, whereas her return on investment for damage-oriented support items have been relatively low. These small adjustments toward AP item scaling should help balance and diversify her build portfolio. So she gets just 2 base armor lower, so she'll be taking a little bit more damage from bot lane ADs. Passive leverage, additional magic damage when Renata marks a target. So it's just, they just reduced that a little bit. Okay, additional magic damage against marked targets. Okay, so what they did is they made it so that the more AP scaling or more AP items she has, the more this passive actually does. So it's going to be lower earlier, a lot less earlier. But once you get some items ramped up, then she'll still be doing some good deeps. So I think it's cutting down on that early game kind of oppression that she had based on her passive. Renekton, health and AD growth increase, W base damage increase, cooldown increase early and decreased late, R base damage increased. Renekton has largely disappeared from Pro after the fighter item changes in 12.3. We're looking to add some scaling back so he feels a bit better as the game progresses. We're also reducing the gap between his W and E second max build, since that choice leads to some serious win rate losses in average play. You heard it here first, Crocs are back in faction. So League overall is becoming a more mid to late game, okay? So champions that scale early, unless they get crazy fed early game, you can get fed with any champion early. So that, because everyone fights, right? Everyone's fighting, everyone's dueling, everyone's hitting each other. That's just how the game is played now. So you can play whatever champion you want, and because of the level of aggression in League, it's gonna happen. You're gonna either win, lose, or feed. Most of my teammates feed, but Renekton, I can't stand Renekton. He's one of my hated champions in the top lane, because every Renekton I play against is just like they're just overly like Chad, man. They just run at your face the whole first 10-15 minutes of the game. It's annoying, but hey, here, let's make him more viable later the game goes. I don't even want to read his stuff, but as you can see, W Ruthless Predator cooldown lower, total physical damage. Let's see, scaling a little more. So he has a little bit more, they added some scaling to him, so that's good. I don't know if that's going to make him, it's going to bring him higher into the mid game areas where he'll be a little bit more viable. More the mid game, but later the game goes, other champions will outscale him. Ringa, W damage against monsters decreased. Ringar's changes in 12.7 helped this kitty adapt a little too well to the outdoors, to the point where he's now the top cat in the jungle. We're reverting a buff to his clear, and that buff only, to otherwise leave him as is. So it was just his clear was just too fast, so they're just reducing his W clear. That's it. Everything else is the same. That means Ringar will still be prowling through the jungles. Shyvana, W damage tick rate decrease. We're introducing some small quality of life changes and a batch of bug fixes to help fan Shyvana's flames. Burnout, damage tick rate is 0.5 seconds now. Flame breath, the area effect zone where Shyvana's E flame breath now applies marks to enemies that enter the zone. Okay. And a bunch of bug fixes as well. Scion, undead Scion's passive damage against structures reduced. Scion's been a bit too glorious in death. Although Inting Scion had a good run, we believe it isn't a sustainable direction for him or League in the long term. Taking down towers by split pushing should certainly be doable even while behind, but when the strat requires repeatedly dying, it's not very fun for all parties involved. We're nerfing undead Scion's split pushing power in order to restore some balance to his circle of life. Glory in death. Scion now does 60% reduced damage to structures while in his reanimating freezing form. Includes runes and items. So what does this mean? So this was a big one. Inting Scion was big for, I can't think of the guy's name, but he is doing basically a climb in the Japan region, I believe, for League of Legends. And this is what he does. He plays top lane Scion and just basically doesn't int. I wouldn't call it inting, but he does not care. He cares very less for his life, but does a full pushing. And with Hullbreaker Scion, he's able to just destroy towers. When you're in your mode and you die right by a tower, he just ignores the enemy and goes after the tower. So it was definitely oppressive and worked more times than it probably should have. So it was cool while it lasted, but now it's not really a good idea. You just want to play Scion regular. Scion is still a good champion. So he's still a good tank in that tank role. He can do damage. He's unexpectedly crazily tanky. So, you know, people may pay. I think people are still going to be playing Scion, but they're just not. Hopefully they realize that the passive and dying over and over again is not going to work as well as it did before. Especially now the Hullbreaker's been nerfed, as we'll see later, and his passive is 60% reduced damage is a lot. Thresh, passive AP and bonus armor per soul increased. W shield stream scaling with souls increased. What is the value of a soul? Currently not very much. Thresh has fallen off quite a bit, particularly in average and skilled play. So we're increasing his scaling power, making it more worthwhile to collect the essence of the dead. Gotta catch them all. Passive, damnation, ability power and bonus armor per soul. 1. W dark passage, shield strength. Ooh, okay, so the shield strength has gone up. Okay, so it's been doubled based on your soul. So +2 per soul. So your W will scale with your souls, as well as the ability power by 0.25. I should give his W some much needed strength. There's my boy, my guy. Passive attack speed gain on minion and champion kills increase. W magic damage on hit increased. Varus has been relatively weak since his Nidalee nerfs last season. Yeah, so bring him back. We're buffing his on-hit builds back up to make his vengeance viable again. Passive, living vengeance. Bonus attack speed on non-champion kills. 10 to 15 to 20%. 20% bonus attack speed. Before it was 15%. Okay, so just 5% attack speed. So you maybe go with more damaging abilities or items, because once you kill someone, you'll get a little bit more pack speed, but you probably still want to do a on-hit build with him. Now, bonus attack speed on champion kills. 40%. Okay, so 40% bonus attack speed more on champion kills. So he'll get 5% buff and then a 10% buff when he kills champions. Blighted quiver, bonus magic damage on hit from 7 early games, the same, buffed by 2, then 3, then okay, so the AP ratio is still there, and so it's late game. It's about 6 damage on every W. Again, that's every auto attack, so that's, you got to think about how much that adds up to be over an extended amount of a team fight. But I think they need, Varus needs some other things. Items. Hullbreaker. Hullbreaker is an important tool for empowering split pushing, but when rushed as a first item, its bountiful bonus resist can invalidate laning and lead to unpleasant experiences. We still think it's a valuable addition to the game, since unlike past split items like ZZ Rot, Hullbreaker requires champions to stay in the lane they're split pushing, so we're nerfing its early game potency. Champion bonus resist while hunting alone, melee. 20 to 60, levels 1 through 18, 10 levels 1 through 11. Okay. What are they doing? Sturdier hulls deal 20% bonus damage from all sources against structures. Only attacks deal 20% bonus damage against structures. Okay, so what is this doing? This is basically just nerfing rushed Hullbreaker builds. Is Hullbreaker a bad item? No, it's still a very good item now, but you don't want to rush it. You want to. What Rito is trying to do, and some champions this doesn't apply, like Kog'Maw, no, for example, Kale. A lot of champions do not go with the mythic item first. They go with either another item first, whether it be Rage Blade or a couple other items that come to mind that they go first. But people were rushing Hullbreaker and without a mythic. And so I think what what Riot is trying to do is make sure that mythics are the first item, that there's kind of play around mythics, and that you know, most champions are running their mythics first. That's the whole point of the mythic, is to start a percentage bonus and have those bonuses on it. I know Huzzy is somebody that I closely listen to and watch gameplay of, and he had mentioned making Hullbreaker a mythic item, make it so that it enhances split pushing, and you have to, you know, you are dedicated to that style of play, and you know, make it a mythic. I think that's okay. I think if someone like me, I play a lot of Yorick. Only attacks is still fine. Yorick still destroys towers regardless of whether he has Hullbreaker or not. So I think a lot of people are like, oh well, Yorick, blah blah blah. You are still going to destroy turrets very fast with Yorick. You are still going to be able to, you know, destroy turrets fast with Jax. You don't need Hullbreaker in order to do that, but if you are doing those builds, just build that item third. Hullbreaker is going to be a third pickup for you if you're doing split pushing and you get ahead and you get a bunch of gold. Go ahead and pick up the Hullbreaker, but those first two items I would utilize for other resources and for for fighting the other champions 1v1. For you Yorick players out there, I'm thinking Trinity Force is still going to be the play. I'm going to play around with Trinity Force and a couple other builds and see which one's the best. But I'm thinking Trinity Force now is going to be what we're going to be rocking. We have a little bit more 1v1 strength against some of these other annoying champions like Fiora, Aurelia, and Jax. MSI Clash. And I'm not talking about Clash. Client update. We have removed the self-repair button from the League of Legends client settings menu as it was a redundant feature. Client self-repair can still be accessed to the Riot Games client settings menu. Bug fixes and QOL changes quality of life. Fix a bug where Spain's old ability descriptions were displaying in the champion details page. I'm just kind of scrolling through these. I'm going to kind of stick these up right here so you guys can kind of see. Pause the video if you want to see something, or you see something that really interests you. But there was a lot of bugs, man. A lot of bugs. But there you go. That is the end of the patch notes. We have upcoming skins and chromas. The following skins will be released in this patch: High Noon Katarina, High Noon Leona, High Noon Mordekaiser, which looks amazing, by the way. High Noon Varus and High Noon Taliyah. That's why they try to give Varus a little, you're not slick, Riot. That's why you try to give Varus a little buffy buff. And then Prestige High Noon Taliyah, which these boots were made for slaying, I bet. Look at this. This looks pretty nifty. I like it. Not gonna get it, but I like it. EDG skins. All of these skins look amazing, by the way. Especially that EDG Graves, man. That looks really good. It sucks that Zoe is the EDG champ on here, but hey, Zoe's not Zoe, I'm sorry, EDG Yumi is who I'm talking about. And we have all the chromas. So 12.9, let me see if they give us a date for release. A lot of times they do, and I don't see the release date. So usually usually it releases on a Wednesday. So we're looking at either Wednesday tomorrow it releases or Thursday. So again, that's the patch notes. Tell me what you think down below in the description. Put a note there. Tell me, who are you more excited for, Olaf or Talia reworks? Let me know down in the comment section. Again, we'll be diving really deep into Talia for sure. And again, thank you for watching the video. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and remember to always follow your ninja way. Peace, y'all.